lead. Or did he make the catch at the 15? Yeah. What are they going to rule it? He caught it? Touchdown! He did what?
In the end zone, it is caught for the win! Richard Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. Total disbelief at Ford Field.
Rushes on, has time. Looking, throws, middle, yes. Got us there! Breaking free to the 50. He may go all the way to the 20 down the right side. And there's Randall Cobb to the 5, to the end zone, to the touchdown. Oh my goodness!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Green and Golden Boys podcast, the Packers podcast for Packers fans living in enemy territory. I am your host, Marcus, and with me is Charles.
Hello!
And Charles, as we recapped at the end of our last episode, the Green Bay Packers are your NFC number 1 seed, and we'll have a...
What time do they play today?
They don't play. They don't play because they've got the lone bye this week. They're going to be resting their bodies and their minds for a couple of days while 6 other NFC teams kind of slug it out in the Super Wildcard weekend coming up this Saturday and Sunday. But let's talk a little bit about these games. I want to talk a little bit about what we think is going to happen, what our predictions are for these games, who's going to win, and who the Packers are likely going to face the following week. So why don't we start with, I guess probably the most interesting matchup, I think, and only because of how the playoffs work this year. But we have an 11-5 wild card Tampa Bay Buccaneers team placing a division-winning 7-9 Washington football team. Very interesting. Obviously, that those records are the way they are, and the 11-5 team is the wild card, whereas the 7-9 team won the division. But such is the way that it's set up. Who do you like in this game and why?
I mean, it's hard to get to pick against Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
But you also just don't really know which Buccaneers team you're going to get, right? Are you going to get the team that just stomped the Packers this year, or are you going to get the team that lost to the Bears, just a week or two earlier? So I think Tom Brady, you can't put it past him. It's January football. Happy 2021, by the way.
Happy 2021.
And I think just overall, it's kind of hard to beat to pick against Tom Brady, especially here in January. So how about you? Who do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. Hard to pick against Tom Brady, especially in the playoffs, especially against a bad football team. I mean, Washington's not a good football team. Let's not kid ourselves here. Yes, the game's going to be in Washington, but not a long trip from Tampa to get to the DC area. But I think it comes down to Tom Brady, Gronkowski, that experience that they have, and then a solid defense. I think they're going to have a good day against this Washington team. So, yeah, I don't know that we need to dive any deeper than that, but I definitely have Tampa Bay winning this game.
Yeah, by the way, just for the record, they're 8-point favorites in that game. So, and that's on the road. So I think the rest of the world probably agrees with us. I will say the one curveball is this is the playoffs. Anything can happen, and it is outdoors, right, in a colder climate than the Buccaneers typically play in. But
that is true. But Tom Brady has a lot of experience playing in cold weather in January.
True.
So
true.
I'm not too worried about that. So let me ask you this. If Tampa Bay wins this game, and what I think happens is, I think with the teams winning that we're expecting to win, the Buccaneers would be the lowest seed if the Seattle Seahawks and the Saints win this weekend, which is what I think is going to happen, which means the Buccaneers are going to head to Lambeau Field.
Yep.
It's not the matchup I want, in particular for this upcoming weekend. You know what I mean? Especially like we just said, Tom Brady in the playoffs, has experience playing in the cold. He's probably the best suited to come up to Lambeau and beat the Packers in January. What do you think about that?
I think we're a different team than when we played them the first time around. I think offensively we've seen we can be a little bit more balanced, and I think that balance aspect was the reason why we got picked off back-to-back plays, which basically demoralized, the whole team the first time around. So there's obviously teams that I'd rather play, but I mean, if you go down this list, and we're going to go through each one of these games, I mean, each team, besides arguably the Bears, but even them I'd have some concerns about, they each have a scary name, right? The Bucks beat us already, and we'll get into these other games soon, but, we have a history of Seattle. Do you really want to play Seattle in the playoffs, at any point, regardless of how good or bad they are? So I hear you with Tom Brady. I think us in Lambeau against, an up and down team in with a defense that's doing better, right? We're showing signs of stopping the run. We're showing signs of not giving up the big play. Tom Brady can put 3 great passes in a row, but then, he might throw a pick. I like our chances against Tampa, but I'm going to be a broken record, I think, this episode, because I might say that about just about any one of these teams coming up to Green Bay.
Gotcha. And my only caveat to that is the Bucks are on a 4-game win streak. Okay, they've put up in their last 3 31, 47, and 44 points, albeit against 2 bad football teams, the Lions and the Falcons. All right,
right,
and the fact that they were both either outside or in a dome, so in warm weather. So, again, I think it comes back to their ability to bring that offense, that potent offense, up to Lambeau Field in January. Can they do that? Can Tom Brady do that? Sure. Can anyone else? I think is the question. I mean, I think that's a game they're going to have to rely really heavily on their run game, and I think our offense is playing well enough that their defense isn't going to be able to get the pressure that they had on Aaron Rodgers during that game. I think that was one of the 2 bad games our O-line played. Now, we won't have Bakhtiari, but we've got 2 weeks to kind of shore anything up and get some cohesion going on the O-line. So,
yeah, and I think if you look back, I mean, you looked at the last couple games, obviously. If you go back a little bit further and who they've played to, though, I mean, they struggled the other week, I guess it's about a month back now, against the Chiefs. And not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but, based on how we're playing, you could argue we're playing a little bit better than the Chiefs right now. And the Bucs offense had a hard time keeping up with the Chiefs offense, right? And I think that's a better, comparison than Bucs beating up on the Lions after I think half their coaches had COVID and half their coaches got, yeah, actually, no, the teams that you just listed off, both of their head coaches had already been fired that season. So, great. They put up 44 points against, the Falcons and the Bears and the Falcons again and the Vikes, So, I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good. Tom Brady's always going to scare you, but I think there's a couple other names, probably because of history, that's going to scare me a little bit more than the Bucs.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget that was a 3-point game against the Chiefs, and the Buccaneers were coming back and had some opportunities to kind of tie up the game and couldn't come through, obviously. But yeah, I would agree. I think our offense is playing a little bit better than Kansas City is right now, and I think it's going to be a tough go for anybody, even Tampa and Tom, coming up to Lambeau in January. So let's move on from this game. Let's talk a little bit about the Saints and Bears. I think we're both going to pick the Saints in this game, at least I am. Again, I don't think a ton needs to be said about this. I mean, the Bears, they have been playing better the latter part of the season. The Saints have a pretty good defense, and they obviously have some weapons on offense, and I think they're getting Kamara back, and by all accounts Michael Thomas back. So I'm not sure that the Bears are going to have an opportunity to keep this one close, let alone win this game.
Yeah, and especially in New Orleans, right, where they're just on fire. I think Kamara is questionable, right, on whether or not he can come back.
He's on the COVID list, I believe, and they scheduled this game so that it would give him that 10-day window.
Yeah, Saturday would have been a no-go.
Yeah, because they're playing on Sunday, not Saturday. So he could be back if he tests negative.
I bet he's back, and I think kind of like what we talked about in the preview episode of the Bears, they looked really hot at the end of the season, but they were just like the Bucs. They were kind of playing some duds for teams, and when they came up to Lambeau, they actually did, played pretty well, I think, considering, but that game was, for all intents and purposes, a blowout in Lambeau, and I don't think it'll be any easier down in New Orleans for them.
Yep, I would agree. I would agree. It's going to be a tough go for Chicago. Let's talk about this, which is probably the most interesting matchup of the weekend. This is the Rams and the Seahawks. Um, Seahawks haven't been playing great as of late. I mean, they've been winning games, but they haven't been pretty, and I think they've just struggled to get things going. You know, Offensively, they just haven't been as good as they have the first half of the year, in my opinion. Um, the Rams, though, they're missing their quarterback. They're probably going to be getting their veteran left tackle back for this game, which is going to help a little bit because I think that's going to be, probably one of the keys to the game is getting, their backup QB some protection and things like that. But this I'm not sure about this one. I mean, I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to win just because they've got Russell Wilson starting at quarterback. But this is an interesting game because in Seattle, no fans. I mean, I'm not sure that the home field advantage is as strong there for them, not having their 12th man, the stadium, just roaring. But again, this is one I'm not sure. I think this one could go either way. Again, I think Seattle's going to take this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if LA put up a strong fight and had an opportunity to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up perfectly. Russell, I think, is the guy I'm most afraid of on this side, of the playoffs here in the NFC. Yeah, like Patrick Mahomes on the AFC side, I think Russell Wilson is just a guy who can all of a sudden turn it on and look like the MVP that he is, right? And beat any team. And obviously, we have the history. I was at your house when we played the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. It's just a team I just feel like, every team has the team that they don't want to play. And for us, it just feels like it's the Seahawks for the past 10 or 15 years. So I'm terrified of the Seahawks. I'm going to be rooting for the Rams just because I'm not as afraid of the Rams. I'm just terrified of the Seahawks coming to Lambeau.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't want to take that attitude. I want to just be like, hey, bring it on. Whatever happens, bring it on. You're going to be playing January at Lambeau. What's better than playoff football in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Nothing if you're a Packers fan, obviously. But
that's a really good point you're making because like last year, what we're doing now, right? We're looking at different teams. Oh, how would we match up with them? Oh, I'd really like to play that team. And I'm glad we're doing what we're doing, right? Going through all these games. But I was looking at both sides, NFC and AFC, and like I feel good about any matchup, right? I mean, we're kind of finding things to be nervous about, or what we like or what we don't like. I'm not. I have a feeling I'm going to pick the Packers in the first round, regardless of which team we end up playing, even if it were the Saints, which I know can't really happen just based on seeding. But I just feel really good about just about any one of these teams in Green Bay based on how we're playing right now.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, again, it's going to be a tough go. I even had my buddy who's a Vikings fan ask me the other day, he's like, hey, are the Packers going to go to the Super Bowl? And I said, I certainly think we can. I think if we play Packers football and don't beat ourselves, don't make any special team snafus or, turn the ball over or things like that, then I think we're going to go to the Super Bowl. And he said, unfortunately, I don't think I see anyone beating the Packers in Green Bay this year. And I was like, hey.
So, but what you just said, yeah, but okay. So this is what, as experienced playoff, fans we are, right? We've been Packer fans our whole lives, and we've been to the playoffs a lot. And, in our lifetimes, we've only won 2 Super Bowls. That's what I think Vikings fans don't quite understand. Just because we're the number 1 seed doesn't mean we're shoo-ins and guaranteed a Super Bowl spot. I remember however many years ago, a coworker of mine was just so upset that they lost to the Eagles, and they should have been the better team, or whatever it was. Like, oh, we were the better team. We shouldn't have lost. It's just not fair. That's football, man. Any weird bounce can happen. Being outside in Lambeau in particular, someone being hotter than they should have been at the time. I mean, this is fun. This is intense. We're by no means should take anyone lightly, although we do like the matchups for any potential game next week.
Yeah, for sure. And we all remember what happened in 2011 when the Packers were the number 1 seed and didn't even make it to the NFC Championship. So anything can happen. It's play.